Sweet. So another deck been very much into since before Uprising even released. We had this written out on card proxy and starting to muck around with it. Early, what do you call it? Iterations had Talisman of Recompense until we realized it's a must trigger. Wanted to save them up to cast the Dragon Optimi, Dracona Optimi off 2 reds, but it doesn't quite work like that. And yeah, we have switched cards in and out. We've played the Jamie Faulkner kind of more, what do you call it, like control-y version, I guess you could call it. And also tried more like red line aggro, so cutting some of these bigger dragons here and playing on top of your attack action package like Spears of Serenity. But sort of fallen back to somewhere a bit in between, so trying to fit in as many dragons as you know, optimal, and I guess picking the best attacks. So equipment wise, pretty standard. It's nice, it runs off pretty steady usual equipment. The one thing that you really want is a null rune piece just to start the game, so whether it's against Wizard or Viserai Rune Blades, it's just a on tap ash generator, and you know, with not so much maybe the Wizard decks, but for Rune Blades, you know, if you battle or wait it out to get some Ether Wings to be able to prevent the Arcane, they can of course just kill them quite easily. So having one null rune is actually, have found that is valid and necessary. But otherwise, you're fairly happy to just run all this. Even into the likes of Bravo and the bigger dominate aggressive decks, you've got 2 big fridge pieces, as well as Sand Cover as a one-off, Oasis Respite, and Sink Below. So generally you're pretty good there. Into the dragons, you can keep most of the dragons in most matchups. To be honest, however, I do side these out when I just don't think I'm going to cast them. And into some aggro decks and whatnot, I will take out more of my blues even. So these just seem like a waste of time, even though they block for 3. It's better to play a more helpful card that will be proactive and just castable. Dominia pretty much stays in all the time because you can just sack it off a blue and a red at any point. Necrea's in there. We're currently just sort of exploring a bit further again now that it's going to be an more open meta. It almost feels like bigger dragons are better into aggressive decks, and playing multiple small dragons could be better against the mid-range or like the one-hit decks like Guardian. But you know, just depends. In saying that, see how Oldham plays into Dromai. Of course, if he's playing the Winter's Whale, it's not bad to have an Uvia or a Necria or a Tomultai or a Dracona, because he can't kill it in one go if he's blocked with some cards as well. Yeah, otherwise all the other dragons, just quickly to note, like your package for Icelander, strangely this deck's really good into Icelander, I believe, even though it's all red heavy. This Furnace is really good at creating sort of, you know, additional resources and getting you out of certain frostbite locks. And then Sand Cover is just obviously insane. Oasis Respite's a blowout for them as well. And we have the one-off Themai and Uvia, which we put in against them, as well as one Thor, so that we can crack a Frost Hex, you know, the first or second one, depending when we see this. We had 2 of this card in, but it's not amazing. I mean, Into the Mirror, it's a 7th popper, or it could be an 8th popper, but again, just to fit in all the cards you want to have, having 2 of this seems a bit difficult, but perhaps we'll find room for that at some point if it's necessary. Otherwise, pretty standard, like really good lines of this deck is just play like a 1-drop, you know, dragon or attack action would go again into a bigger 2-cost attack. So Command and Conquer and Erase Face are amazing proactive cards in this deck. obviously CNC into just aggro in general. Erase face is very, very relevant. You know, Icelander, Oldhim, Briar, Lexi, anything fusing, and of course, you know, mirror match, even Phi, you know, turning off Draconic. It's just a very good card, slows people down. Embermore Centipie red is just 8 damage for 2, so it's massive. It's like a Enigma Chimera with an upside. Dunebreaker Centipie, again, Spears of Serenity with an upside. Both of these make Ash if popped. Sweeping Blow red, it's just 3 damage and makes you an Ash, which is pretty useful. And Billowing Mirage is a very, very good card. I've been finding that taking out Billowing and even Rake against certain aggro decks, particularly ninjas, where, you know, if you feel they may have the Mask of Momentum, having small Aetherwing generation is actually a negative because it gives them on-demand mask triggers however they like, and it's not great for you. But against, you know, Wizards, Runeblades, Mirror Match, of course, Billowing Mirages actually feels like one of your best cards. It's insane. If your opponent in the mirror does a red Rake first and you don't have Aetherwings out, like 1 blue Billowing Mirage can kill 2 out of 3 of their Aetherwings on the next turn, you know, with 1 card. So it's pretty good. Moving across, 1 sand cover is really just because you don't want to put too much pressure on your Ash, but some number of this card is good. So we're starting with 1. It's just such a blowout, you know, like you have 1 card left in hand or something, 1 in Arsenal. It's just it's not the kind of thing people are thinking about. I think seems to be quite a unique card so far, in Flesh and Blood, in the fact that it's just, you know, 0 for 4, but it's not a defense reaction. It prevents anything. So it's a free Oasis Respite is often how I see it, with the cost of an Ash. Again, Oasis Respite's very good, but, you know, I could almost see, depending how testing goes, this might become a second sand cover just for the fact that it's free, and often if you have red hands, you don't particularly want to spend 2 cards just preventing 4 and maybe gaining a life. But the upside again is that this gives you Ash, so we'll just see how it goes. But these 3 cards pair well with Sink Below into your Guardian matchups just as much as like your aggro matchups. So again, like these cards are really great proactively. These cards are great in almost every matchup, obviously minus these against Wizard, but yeah. So Rake the Embers, good against slower decks, mid-range decks, kind of like I was saying, multiple small dragons against your Guardians could be better than just 1 big or medium dragon. Same with, you know, bringing in those Rakes, making Aetherwing tokens. They don't want to trade 6 power, 8 power card often, you know, for a 1 attack, so it's how you kind of chip them down. Burn Them All, obviously, it's the card I think that seemed really subtle, and a lot of people were like, oh, it's not that good, it's not that playable. It's a 0 cost, so it turns on go again. It's a red, so it can pitch to make Ash and come back late game. And, you know, on average, this card will threaten 4 to 6 damage in a game, regardless of, you know, almost regardless of when you play it, apart from the first, you know, you don't play it the first turn or 2. You probably pitch the first one. And it blocks for 3, so it's just a great card, and it can often close out games. You know, your deck can be quite aggressive, so having something like that, you know, it's kind of like the bloody Runeblade, you know, the Briar or the Viserai at end game, just pitching a blue, make a rune chant, hit with the Rosetta. Burn Them All kind of has that same effect. Sigil of Solace is again amazing. Like it's multi-purpose. It's good against aggro in most cases. Not when they're hitting for lethal and you've got a no block in hand, but even then it gains you 3 life. So it's not good against obviously on hit triggers, but otherwise it's good against almost everything. You know, you get into dominate range, perhaps against a Guardian, find one of these, gain 3 life, block out, and you're back up to 10, or, you know, whatever it is, and you're in safety range again, in a safe spot. And it's obviously usable against Wizard and so on. So it's kind of similar to sand cover again, in that it's multi-purpose and it's really, really good. And of course it's a 0 instant speed go again, so everyone loves that trick. You know, oh, I've only got one card and a dragon attack, and then like give it go again, do one more thing maybe from my arsenal or something. But yeah, it's cool. And then sink below, same kind of thing, just 0 for 4, can fix your hand, great rate, can pitch for making an ash early game. And both of these cards, Sigil and Sink, you can play on your opponent's turn, right? So with the Flamescale Furnace, it's often a way to, if you have a spare red card in hand that you're not going to be able to play, it can just generate another ash in their turn or whatnot. So it's pretty nice. And then for our blues, Billowing Mirage, as we were saying before, I just feel like this card is very, very good. You can almost never have too much ash, so Sweeping Blow Blue comes in into the deck as a 3-block and go again. Late game, surprisingly, 1 attack go again is very good, so that's the thing as well. Enigma Chimera I'm testing out at the moment. As I was saying before, you know, there's a lot of 1-cost go agains or even a few 0 go agains. Doing that into a 2-cost bigger attack, if you don't have one of these, say one of these 3 bigger heftier 2-cost attacks, it felt really nice to up, you know, not just blue Embermore, but then have blue Enigma Chimera, so you suddenly got 6 more cards that hit for 6 damage at 2 cost, but they're blue and they block for 3, so it's pretty amazing. And then the last card to give you extra game, help you get in cheeky damage or just put your opponent in more stressful situations, I guess, when they're playing, say, Guardian or Brute, is your Passing Mirage. So often I probably wouldn't side this in against a lot of aggro decks because I won't anticipate they have too many poppers, and even if they have, you know, 3 to 6, it kind of doesn't matter a lot. You know, if they're aggro and they block with a card, I mean, you're halfway there already, so it's kind of fine. And the reason that you don't actually want it is it's just another 2-block, and it doesn't do anything like impactful when you play it yeah, into a deck that you don't need it against, basically. So this often comes out, but it can be great against 6 power decks. And helps you cast this in a slower matchup. So that's about it. Again, won't go through a big sideboard guide, but at least you can see the deck and had some input from me, and you can do what you like with it. Vincerikai is very good. He was another dragon we weren't so sure on, but he's actually just great against everything. Like, if aggro doesn't want to block you, they're going to take 9 damage. And even against the Guardians and the other decks, you know, slower decks, it's just a must answer. Like, they're gonna want to have to pop it, or, you know, if you can get it out without Phantasm, it's insane against them. It's going to use at least 3 cards with the blocking and then the attacking it back on their turn. So yeah, he pretty much always actually stays in. And yeah, that's my story, but definitely a fun deck, so give it a go. And I guess one tip from just the other night is that this package here looks a lot like Draft. It is like Draft, so if you are playing into a ninja, try and go second, or hopefully they choose to go first if they win the roll, and then you literally just stabilize, try and get out something sticky like a Yendarai or a Miragai, like where they have to attack it more than once, and then just turn the tempo, and then just come in every turn with a 3-card hand that's hopefully a blue and a 1-cost and a 2-cost, and just smash them until they die. It feels really good. But yeah, that's Dragons in a nutshell from our end, what we've played so far. And you know, perhaps she'll be a worthy replacement for our beloved Prism. So please get in there, give it a go. Tell us what you're playing with this deck already, if you've had some success, how it differs, and of course, if you have not already, please like and subscribe.